Hey guys, Creator Mom. So I just want to talk about this movie that I watched yesterday. It was called Anora, and I was trying to journal about it, but I don't know, I didn't really feel like journaling about it. So I was like, let me make a video about it and see if what I'm feeling can come out. So, it's super early, by the way. Ooh, I got up at like before 5 a.m. I hate when that happens because it's like I can tell I'm not extremely fully rested, but the show must go on. So, anyways, yeah, this movie Anora, um, it's a 2 hour movie, and like for a 2 hour movie, I mean, really, it doesn't even have that much substance, if you will. Like, it's not like a shit ton goes on in the movie. It's basically about this girl. She's 23 years old. She's doing some dancing. And the movie description says sex work, but she dances at this club, this strip club, I guess you could say. And she's like, I think she's Russian, like her grandmother's Russian. She grew up with her grandmother, so she knows how to speak a little bit of Russian, but she's not extremely fluent and competent in it. So, anyways, to the club owner and the people at the club, she's kind of like the Russian girl. And so, anyways, this guy comes in and is like, "Oh, do you have anybody who's Russian? Because he's Russian and he wants, whatever." So they get this girl and she hangs out with him for a bit. And this guy's young. He's like 21 years old. But his parents are extremely wealthy Russians. And, but he's just in America for the time and he has a ton of money to blow. So he's just like, he gets to know this girl. So she dances for him, he pays her, whatever. And then he's like, hey, do you want to come dance for me privately at my house or whatever? Like, I'll pay you. So he starts paying her to come to his house and to basically, like do sex work and like dance for him, whatever. And so she's like, yeah, she agrees. Like he pays her a good amount. Probably like, could be like 5 or 10 grand. Anyways, so then he's like, hey, look, can you stay with me for a week? Kind of like she's kind of like escorting in a way, but she was also doing like, sex work too. So he pays her a pretty penny to do that. But by the end of the week, they've grown attached to each other. And he's like, do you want to get married? And I guess they were in Las Vegas. And she's like, are you serious? She didn't really look like she was like looking for marriage, but she probably was definitely like in search of, knight in shining armor, getting with a rich dude. Like this guy lived in a mansion, but see, it's all his father's wealth. So she's spending her time like he's buying her stuff and they're in this mansion and it's almost like too good to be true. So he's like, do you want to get married? And she's like, are you serious? And then she's like, he's like, yeah, I'm serious, let's get married. And then she's like, all right, well, I want 3 carats. So, which I thought was cool, like the whole time. Like, for instance, like when he was like, can you stay with me for a week? He was like, I'll give you 10 grand. She was like, 15. So she wasn't afraid to kind of ask for more and kind of know her worth per se. But yeah, so for the ring, she was like, I want a 3 carat ring. So she gets that, and then they have all kinds of fun. I guess it kind of reminded me of my life in a way, because when I eloped and got married, I was 25. So, close in age. And just that like honeymoon phase or whatever, like you're just having so much fun for a few weeks and everything's so great. And what happens is, like, I guess it was interesting too because she was from Brooklyn and he's from Russia, but just, I guess, staying there kind of temporarily or something. And so, like, where I met my ex, I was from New Jersey and he's from another state. And we met, in another state. So when I eloped, we weren't like close to home or by family members, or like more of like daily life wasn't like set in yet. It was like we were going here and going there and having lots of fun, but we weren't experiencing that daily life where like someone's going to work every day, the bills are being paid, like the real life shit. So once we got back to his state, and of course I moved to his state from New Jersey, I guess that's another thing too with New Jersey being so close to New York and her accent. And there was a lot of things I think that probably resonated with me in the movie. Also the fact that she was the Russian girl to the strip club owner, but to him and like his family, like she wasn't Russian enough, And I have always found myself in that in-between place in my life where might have been like that, Puerto Rican girl to people who were like not Hispanic, but to my family and to other Hispanics, I was the white girl, so not Hispanic enough. So anyways, yeah. What else? So then real life starts to hit because she's like laying with him and he's playing video games, and I'm like, oh my God. Like that's gonna get old really fast, you know what I'm saying? And his parents call. Parents are trying to call his phone because word is going around that he got married to a prostitute or whatever. And his parents are like these really rich, important people in Russia. So, yeah, once his parents start to call, the reality of who he is sets in. And the point is that he leaves her and he basically does what his parents say. And the truth of the matter was that he never really loved her. He did all of this for fun, basically, maybe even to spite his parents, as a rebellion. And she actually thought that he actually loved her. She was very hurt. It is so weird because, like I said, the movie is not like all that from the outside, but it really struck a chord in my heart. And I found myself like wanting to tear up, and I'm like, wow. I guess it's just kind of deeply emotional, when you see it from the girl's point of view. Anora, her name is Anora. It's a very pretty name too, but she doesn't like her name. She calls herself Annie. So yeah, the parents come back from Russia. They're like, "You're gonna get a divorce. We're annulling this marriage." And the whole time Anora's like, "No, no, no, we're not." A lot of stuff happens, and I don't want to go into detail about how he takes off because his parents have these like guys who work for him, kind of like security guys. Anyways, he runs off without her. The fact is that they end up getting the annulment, and she realizes that this guy that he's a coward, like, because she kept trying to say, well, why don't you stand up for us? Why don't you? She even tried to tell his mother, like, hey, look, we're married, so can you accept that, And she's like, no, I'm not accepting it. Like, you guys are getting divorced. And the kid, the 21-year-old kid, he's a kid basically, he goes along with it. He listens to the mother, and she's like, Honora's like, you're such a coward. Like, why aren't you standing up for us, And he's just like he doesn't give a shit. He's like, of course we're getting a divorce. And it really hurt her because she never saw this side of him. The whole time she saw this guy who like was who loved her, who was really into her, and all of a sudden the parents show up and she means shit. She's nobody to him. She's just a prostitute. And when you see like the two coins like that, like the two sides, the other side, it's like it's extremely painful. It's like, oh my God. Yeah, he never comes after her. So that's the truth, that like he didn't love her. Like this wasn't real. It wasn't real. None of it was real love. It was just a fling for him because he probably knew in the back of his mind that his parents were going to make him divorce and that this was just all fun and games, and he led her on. And she left the strip club. And when she left the strip club, when she got married, she was kind of like, bye, bitches. Like, I'm going off to my mansion, you know? And it was sad because it was like, girl, like, like, why are you talking like that? He's like, you know, it's too good to be true. Like what, you think you're just gonna go off and live in your mansion and everything's gonna be perfect? Like, yeah, it was just kind of like that knight in shining armor syndrome. And it's not that I thought that, like, I don't think I walked off thinking when I got married that, oh my God, everything's gonna be perfect. But I thought, I don't think I thought that things were gonna be the way that they were, because like when we eloped and then we had fun for a few weeks and then like reality set in where real life, normal life kind of set into play. I saw a different side like of this person, and I was like, oh, you know, I was like, oh God. It was hurtful. So yeah. But see, I stayed though. But she couldn't stay. See, the thing is, Anora, if she could have stayed, she might have would have. If his parents didn't force him, they literally dragged his ass to the court in Nevada with her. They got money. They got planes. It's easy for them. Boom. They hop on a plane. They're in Nevada. So he was, yeah, I guess he didn't love her at all. I mean, it's almost like you want to give the benefit of the doubt and say, no, 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 he was under their power and influence, partly. But he still, if he did love her, he could have been like, I'm so sorry, like, that it has to be this way. I do love you, but I have to do what my parents say. He could have like said something like that, you know, if he did, but he didn't say any of that at all. He was just like, of course, dumbass, like this is what we gotta do, like get divorced. He had no like emotion, but so I just really felt for Anora, and she was trying to be strong like the whole time, you know. But there is this part of the movie where like, so like I said, these bouncer guys, these security guys were in charge of keeping Anora and the kid captive until the parents came from Russia because they had to fly over. So one of the bouncer guys or the security guys, whatever you want to call them, you could tell, and he did, I don't know how he did this as an actor, but in the movie you could tell energetically that he fell in love with this Anora girl because they had to keep them captive for a while. It was a long story. But the whole time I'm like, hold up. Dude, let me find out that she's gonna end up with this guy, this other Russian dude. Like, he just was like in love with her, you could tell. And at the end of the movie, well, what happens is one of the security guys told Anora, hey, give me that ring. That ring's not yours. They take the ring from her, the 3 carat ring. Well, this one of the security guys that loves her, that you could tell, nothing was said about him liking her at all, but you could energetically tell in the movie that he loved her. He did a good job. I don't know how they did that. And so at the end of the movie, when after they get the divorce, this guy Igor is in charge of driving Anora home, taking her to the bank because they said, hey, look, if you annul this marriage, we'll give you 10 grand and just never speak to him again. That's it. So he takes her to the bank and he gets her home. That was his job. And they're in the car and he goes, hey, look, he opens up his hand and he shows her the ring. And she's just like, that right there, like, I guess melted her heart in a way. So then she feels like, I don't know, she gets over, and so the driver sees the car, basically starts seducing, like, having sex with him, basically. Like, she kind of like, but the way he looked at her, though, was just like he was so in love with her. It was kind of beautiful. I don't know. It's just like, wow. I don't know. I do think that there is such thing as love at first sight. I do. I do believe in love at first sight, absolutely. So it's tricky. But I think that her marriage with the 21-year-old was just really about, sure, she liked him, but I think it was about money. I think it was about like, hey, this seems like a great opportunity and like this is fun and hell yeah, let's just do it. And thought she was gonna live that lavish life, But the parents were not having that. She even tried to stand up for herself at one point in the movie and told the mother, I'm not getting on the plane to go sign those papers. I'm getting a lawyer and I'm gonna get half, and the mother was like, we'll basically destroy your life and leave you with nothing if you do that. So she gets on the plane. I was like, oh, I felt bad for her. It was kind of like a dog with his tail tucked between the legs, But anyways, but yeah, you could tell the whole time that Igor guy really liked her. He really loved her. Like, it was just like, it was strong. So yeah, she ends up getting on top of him in the driver's seat at the very end of the movie. And then like he wants to like kiss her, but she doesn't want that. And she kind of starts hitting him because she's like confused, like she just had this big traumatic like event happen to her, but she hasn't processed it yet. And I think that she was trying to process her grief by having sex with him, basically. I heard some people do process grief that way with sex. So, yeah. And then when she starts hitting him, and then she starts crying. She's letting it out now. All the pain of the shit she just went through for the past couple days. She just starts crying, and he just like holds her, It was a very sweet ending, and I hope it kind of leaves the viewer like, oh wow, like I really hope that this ends up being something for her, you know what I mean? But maybe it won't, maybe it will. But yeah, 18 minutes. I think that's all I have to say about this movie and how I resonate with it. But I think that, like, for me, I figured there was no turning back. Like Anora, she did have her sister where her sister lived in Brooklyn and she was living with her sister. So she did have some place to go back to. But when I got eloped and got married, I just did not feel like that I could reverse this car. I was like, this car is moving forward. And I just stayed and just kept going, kept going. For as long as I could, I guess. And just, I didn't realize I just thought that, I just thought that, I don't know, like I thought that what I was seeing was like, oh, this is just this person's like flaws or whatever, you know, that you have to like accept and just move forward with. Because everybody has to accept each other's flaws, right? You either accept it or you leave. That's kind of like my motto, because I grew up with a parent that always tried to change the men that she was with. And that was like a cause of a lot of conflict, you know? And I just figured, well, I'm not going to do that. So I'm just going to let it be. I'm just going to accept it and move on with my life within this situation. So, anyways, I'm going to end this video here. This is probably just for my own sake and processing that movie, because I needed to understand why I resonated with this character so much, Anora. It was a good movie though. All right, peace.